Jennifer Holderman from the Mason Conservation District. She's the Water Resources and Lead Entity Coordinator. We're going to talk about the different watersheds around Washington and the ones that Mason County has. And let's say good morning. Morning, Jennifer.
Hey, how's it going?
Thanks for coming on the air with me
absolutely.
And talking about this thing. So Washington has 62 watersheds.
Right.
That's what we're talking about here, called Water Resource Inventory Areas. And here in the county, there are 3 overlapping ones.
Right.
Tell me about those.
So you have WRIA 16, which flows into Hood Canal. It's the Skokomish River and the Dosewallips. You have WRIA 14 that takes up a large portion of the county. It has 140 independent watersheds, but I would say maybe 10 with names, a lot of unnamed ones. So it's pretty unique in Washington in that respect, because we think about a watershed as being a large stream, the Columbia, for instance. Here in a good portion of Mason County, it's all these small streams that are contributing to the health of the ecosystem. And then the last one would be the Chehalis, which is kind of off in the southwest corner of the county.
So when we talk watershed, then let's give that definition. You mentioned the Columbia River, but what would most people, when they hear the word watershed, think of, and is it an accurate description of what it really is?
When I talk about a watershed, I like to think about that one drop of rain and the path that it takes. So whether it starts up on Mount Rainier and eventually flows into the Nisqually or the Puyallup, or in this case, we have some high peaks, 5,000 feet or so off in the western part of the county that eventually make all these little streams that make their way to the Puget Sound. So it's that trip that one raindrop makes through the elevations of the landscape.
Okay, interesting. Over the years, and mostly in the late 90s or so, some of the salmon were put on the endangered species list. That is why the state founded this lead entity group. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay, so tell me more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the late 90s, it looked like the federal government was going to be listing some species, and the ones in particular in Puget Sound are the Hood Canal summer chum, Chinook, and bull trout. So Washington was being proactive, and their legislature in 1999 said, hey, local experts, local technical experts, and local citizens are the best judge of the type of projects that need to be on the ground to sustain and promote the health of recovering these species. So in 1998, they founded the Lead Entity Program, and since 1998, Mason Conservation District and their local technical partners and citizen partners have put 125 projects on the ground with about $80 million towards that effort.
Wow. What would be some of the projects that people recognize?
Well, if you've been up Highway 3 lately and looked over at the former Bayshore Golf Course, it's now preserved for habitat by the Capital Land Trust. And that was a project that citizens and local technical experts weighed in on and said, hey, this is an example of a project that's good for the community and good for the environment. So state government, you need to fund this, and it was successfully funded. And before too long, it'll be an opportunity for people to get out and enjoy that part of the basin.
What is happening there now? It is currently unable to walk about, or you can...
There'll be more infrastructure.
Okay.
So it'll be nicer to walk around in the near future.
And any other big projects that people drive by? I mean, that's a huge one that we see on Highway 3.
Right. So Lykes Creek, which is a tributary of Goldsboro, has a project that's recently been implemented where prior to Simpson Timber here with their railroad had been great habitat for salmon. And with the railroad coming in, it created a blockage for that creek. And in the last year, those blockages have been removed, and it's restored a mile of habitat right there near the mouth of the creek, which provides excellent access for coho and their spawning and rearing needs.
So it's just been a year, so maybe we haven't seen anything come back yet, but just like when we saw the Elwha Dam go away before too long, I'd imagine the fish are somehow going to remember. They're going to know to come back to this.
Right. And the South Puget Sound and particularly Mason County provide a great opportunity for salmon. It's a unique environment with all these small creeks that provide great habitat for nursery and rearing and creatures to get their lives going here as they progress and go out into the Puget Sound and eventually the ocean.
I get the citizen aspect of participation here. When you talk about local technical experts, what kind of skills is that?
We have just recruited actually a technical expert from Sierra Pacific, and she's been out in this watershed for 10 years looking at the biological aspects, but we also have former engineers, former statisticians, so some retired folks that serve those technical pieces. We also work with the county and their staff because they obviously have a great awareness of the roads, which can commonly be an opportunity for restoration in our community.
Well, we need to get some folks to participate in this.
That's a great idea.
How and where do they go to learn about this?
Yeah, absolutely. So between, I'd say, April and August, we have an opportunity where citizens can learn about these projects. They go on site visits, and then they say, hey, will these projects be good for our community? And they actually get to rate and rank those, and then those recommendations are transferred to the state, who ultimately supports it with funding. So those opportunities, again, primarily through April to August. And I work for the Mason Conservation District, and I can be contacted through that organization.
Okay. And let's see, 427-9436, extension 101 is a good contact for you.
That's my number, yeah.
Jennifer Holderman. And so we have seen then in years past, groups like this come together. They see Bayshore on the list, and folks talked about this. Was it... Are these long conversations that are had with a bunch of different input, or how long does this process take before decisions are made on these?
We make decisions on an annual basis, but those are for projects that have probably spent anywhere between 2 and 10 years to be developed. We have an exciting one actually coming up in 2018, the first phase of it, and it'll be some major restoration in Shelton Harbor that will retain the industrial activity there, as well as restore some of the estuarine habitat that once existed there.
Oh, that will be really nice.
Yeah, and that involves, again, a lot of partners, as you mentioned, that are coming together to provide a solution that works for everyone.
You can find more on the Mason Conservation District's website and in touch with Jennifer Holderman, the Water Resources and Lead Entity Coordinator here. Again, 427-9436, extension 101. Here today talking about the WRIA and the lead entity work there. And again, that stands for Water Resources Inventory Area.
That's right.
And mostly focusing on the 14 here at the Kennedy-Goldsboro Creek area?
Right.
Very nice. Well, nice to meet you, Jennifer.
Great to meet you.
Thanks for coming on the air to talk about this.
All right. Take care.